Good morning and welcome to the Camnet Breakfast Show. I'm Patrick Soko alongside Miriam Kaimba. Together we will be with you up to the hour of 9. As usual, we have a full-packed program lined up for you, our dear viewers, and make sure you stick around and follow the proceedings. Madam Kaimba, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Soko. I'm sharing the set with you today. Exactly. This morning. I've replaced Sharon. Definitely it is, but it's a quite good. Very good morning. Yeah, I must say it's not really as cold as it was yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, it seems promising though. But
you've been missing for a while. Where were you?
Well, Mr. Soko,
what have you been up to?
A lot. You know, just coming from last year. You know, the way I'm talking as if it's been a while. But anyway, coming from last year, we had a lot of stuff that I was up to when I went on leave, you know, just trying to do one or two things as I prepare for this year, which is 2023, and ensure that I bring my viewers nothing but the best.
What are the resolutions?
A lot. But anyway, before the show ends, I'll definitely give you those.
Interesting. We're going to wait for those resolutions. But we go straight into our first segment we call the morning booster, so that we get flexing our muscles as usual. Keep it on Camnet.
Hello. It's your boy Harrison, aka the Fitness Puppy, and I'm saying happy festival season to you. And we are here again at John's Fitness Gym in Kablonga in conjunction with the Camnet TV. And guys, today I am going to take you in two variations of deadlift. Apparently we have 3 variations of deadlift. So now here you can just perform 2 types of deadlift. Okay, so first I'm going to start with this usual one, the conventional one, like the most popular. So this one, I'm sure in my previous video you saw it. Chin part of your body, the chin body has to be close to the bar. Then your hands are outside the legs, then you hold it nicely, then pull it up. And then as usual, the ending part is the core as well as the glutes. So this is the conventional type of deadlifts. Okay. So this was the conventional type of deadlift. So I'm going to show you another one. So this one is called the sumo deadlift. So the sumo deadlift, stand wide. Then instead of your arms to be outside the legs, now they are inside the legs. And the conventional one, you are using to pull down the bar using your back. So now this one, you are using your legs. So it's more like a squat. So you bend all the way. Then so remember, when you go up, the chest has to be out. Oh, that's all for today, guys. You've been with me, Harrison, aka the Fitness Puppy. Remember, it's about your health, and we're here at Chon's Fitness Gym in Kablonga. Say bye-bye.
Well, there you have it, the morning booster there with Harrison, the fitness puppy himself, doing what he knows best. That's helping us to do the drills accordingly. As I always say that if you do not exercise correctly, it has its own repercussions. So you have to make sure that you learn from the experts and do it correctly so that you can have better results as you do your workouts.
You know, Mr. Soko, I always love the AKA name, the fitness puppy. I don't know what prompted him, you know, what motivated him to give himself that name, but I'm sure one day we'll invite him on set so that he can tell us why the name fitness puppy. Anyway, it sounds funny, like, why name yourself a fitness puppy? But anyway, I love the way he does his exercise and stuff like that, and I hope our viewers out there did enjoy one or two things. But anyway, talking about health and ensuring that you keep intact, and as we start our year 2023, you don't want your health to be in a bad state. Exactly. And just to go direct into what the doctors have for us, let's see what they have for us this morning with regards to healthy issues. Let's have our healthy corner.
Hi, good morning, and welcome to today's health segment on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Napiana Mfaya. So this week we are talking about malaria, and yesterday we discovered what are some of the symptoms and signs of somebody that has malaria. We talked about things like headache, fever, nausea, vomiting, body weakness, and just body malaise in general are some of the symptoms of somebody that has malaria. So today we'll talk about what is the diagnosis and how is malaria diagnosed and treated in the hospital. So the diagnosis and treatment of malaria is mostly done in the hospital, and the doctor in the hospital will be able to do certain tests that will be able to determine whether you have malaria for sure or you have another infection. So they will do several tests to also check if there are any other complications, including complications to the liver, to the kidneys, and other organs. Malaria can cause anemia, and so there will be need to be able to check your blood to see if you have enough blood, and if you don't have enough blood, then the doctors will be able to know exactly what to do. So malaria is treated with anti-malarial medications, and there are several medications that are used in the treatment of malaria. Because malaria is caused by different plasmodiums or different types of parasites, the treatment is usually tailored to the type of parasite that has infected the patient. So you will need to be able to get medication based on the type of plasmodium that has infected you. But usually patients receive medications that will be able to target most of the parasites, the types of parasites that cause malaria. So it's important that you get treatment as soon as possible. Malaria can be very deadly and can kill very quickly if treatment is not given in good time. So be sure to get treatment as soon as possible because malaria can cause so many complications. So tomorrow we will discuss some of the complications of malaria. Today we have learned that malaria can be treated, and how it can be treated is through several medications that are used in the treatment of malaria based on the type of infection that you have. So be sure to seek treatment early and make sure that you are safe and without any complications. So take your loved ones to the hospital as soon as you realize that they have malaria, or if you suspect that they have malaria, to get early treatment. This has been the health segment on the Breakfast Show. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to tune in tomorrow again to learn more about the complications of malaria.
I hope you learned one or two things there from Dr. Where she emphasized on the need to get yourself treated if you have malaria, because it can be deadly. You know, most of the times we do this self-prescription, and you know, why should I go to the doctor and have myself checked? But anyway, it's very, very important that you need to get yourself checked and have yourself treated, because malaria can be deadly. Mr. Soko, your thought on that? Most of the time we see a lot of people, I used to be one of them anyway, I stopped. Back then when I'm sick, I'd rather go to a nearby pharmacy, okay, and purchase medicine without having a prescription from the doctor. And, you know, have this self-prescription.
Yeah, you're right. I think time and again, I'm aware of this aspect, and especially that people always mistake every fever for malaria, so they would tend to do self-prescription, even sometimes when it is not malaria. But like Dr. Mufaya did explain to us, that sometimes there could be those complications. You just have to make sure that you seek medical attention at the right time to ensure that you do not get worse, because malaria is a deadly disease. And you remember at that time, at that point, before the right cures or medication was discovered, it used to be very deadly, especially in Southern African countries, Zambia inclusive. And if you see now, there is treatment, because we have quite a number of medication that has been developed in line in order to combat malaria. I'm also privy to the fact that we also had a malaria vaccine that was under development. I hope that that will also be expedited, so that we can have a long-lasting solution to this pandemic that continues to reoccur. And it is caused by mosquitoes, like the doctor has said. She has been giving us the various perspectives on the subject of malaria. We started with the issue of cholera being the rain season. Now we are discussing the issue of malaria, which is also very common, especially during the rainy season, because we tend to see a lot of breeding grounds, such as grass, such as when we plant maize at our backyard. So all those things,
stagnant water
as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, they tend to become breeding grounds for mosquitoes, and tend to affect our livelihoods.
But anyway, good enough, Ms. Soko, is that Lusaka is a free zone from malaria compared to other provinces in the country, which is a good thing anyway. And we have seen the government coming on board and trying to, you know, to fight against this. Exactly.
Yeah, it is. But sometimes you see there are people who come all over.
I understand that is true. That's the main reason why they need to get themselves treated. But anyway, just a reminder to our viewers that the Healthy Corner is up for sponsorship, just like our next segment, which is the money market. Please come on board and make visibility of your product.
Yeah, so let's look at how the kwacha is performing against other major convertible currencies. So $1 US is buying at 17 kwacha 96 ngwe and selling at 18 kwacha 32 ngwe. where the euro is buying at 18 kwacha 97 ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha 34 ngwe. The South African rand is buying at 1 kwacha 05 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 08 ngwe. The Greater British Pound is buying at 21 kwacha 53 ngwe and selling at 21 kwacha 95 ngwe. Those are your money markets, and like we always say, they vary from one financial institution to the other, or one bureau to the other, depending. But however, the rates are usually within the same range. Only the cents or ngwes would be different, but most of the times they trade within the same range. But for the financial institution that we monitor, that is the rate. And as of this morning, so you understand how the kwacha is performing. So talking about how the kwacha is performing, so we get to see that it has been depreciating. I think from November.
From November, yes, to December.
Because from August down to October, the kwacha was performing extremely fine. Yeah, we saw it trading at 50 kwacha at some point, which was very commendable, and it helped us.
And people were hoping by December maybe we would be trading at 10 kwacha, as we were promised. That is the hope for 2023. That is the hope for 2023.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
I'm sure you're giving President Again HNM a direct call to say,
exactly.
I want to see the kwacha at 10 kwacha against $1.
Exactly.
Well, that would be good.
That would be good. Then we were promised
but under the circumstances, it may be.
We were promised that, but that is what we want to see at the end of the day. You know, the more we have this, Mr. Soko, you realize that this has a huge impact when it comes to the prices of commodities. You know, this is a major, a very huge impact, again, on the common citizens. So anyway, we hope for the best as we come into this new year, and we hope that all the things that the UPND administration promised the people of Zambia will be able to put into fulfillment. We have seen some of the things being achieved so far, but anyway, yet is being yet to be done. More is yet to be done.
Yeah, so talking about fulfillment of commitments, one of the commitment of the United Party for National Development Administration was to make sure that they address pitfalls under the Farmers Input Support Program, FISIP. And just yesterday in the Camnet main news, we had a story where farmers in Kapiri, in Poshi, had concerns over the acquisition of farming inputs. They say they were not able to get the inputs, they were advised otherwise. So that's a story we are going to zoom in. But before we zoom in that story, I also have to read out this other story, because the stories are speaking to the same subject. And that's a story where Patriotic Front PA for presidential hopeful Chishimba Kambwiri has challenged the United Party for National Development, UPND, to apologize to Zambians for failing to deliver farming inputs to various parts of the country on time. Mr. Kambwili has further accused the current administration of scrapping off old suppliers of farming inputs to allegedly favor friends of the UPND. He has wondered why major disruptions should be made to key sectors such as the agriculture sector. These are saying when these hinge on overall well-being of farmers, citizens, and national food security. So let's get to zoom in those two stories. We'll be back on the other side. Keep it on Camnet.
The 2022-2023 farming season has been the topic of debate as farmers under the Farmer Input Support Program FISIP in many parts of the country are yet to receive the inputs in full, despite the farming season having fully commenced. Farmers in Kapirimposhi district of Central Province say while they have received seed and compound D fertilizer, many cooperatives are yet to receive urea fertilizer in full, stating that this has destabilized their farming. The farmers who gathered at one of the farming depots in Kapirimposhi Tuesday morning have aired their grievances. Others have expressed concern about the weight of the farming inputs they have received so far, stating that these need to be weighed in the presence of all concerned parties as they seem to be underweight.
Fertilizers and my underweight. Once I engage by DC, once I pima, as I weighing 36, 34 kg, 37, 39. So even when you go and check, like to just go and take a sample, you find that they are my underweights. They're not my 50 kgs. So I don't know how we can be helped on that issue. I DC by the way, we will go to
The current administration has come under pressure for the late delivery of farming inputs, despite promises to do better than the former ruling Patriotic Front Party, whom they condemned for the late delivery of the inputs. For now, we will continue observing how matters will unfold, as the farmers have demanded an address from the Ministry of Agriculture on how it plans to handle the current situation. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
You find that if you are quick to remove the suppliers, like our friends did, the UPN did, to bring in your own preferred suppliers, then the people will suffer. So, and immediately, Pastor, let me drive this point. You see, a government is quick to change suppliers when they come into government. Just know that there is corruption. Because if there is no corruption, why remove those that were supplying fertilizer? I do recall myself very well that when we came into office as PF under Mr. Sata, somebody within PF went to Mr. Sata and said, we have to remove these fertilizer suppliers. They were dealing with the MMD, so we need to bring in our own supplier. Mr. Sata said, excuse me, it is not the job of a politician to disturb and disrupt business. Leave those people. Go and tender whoever wins, whether they've been supplying in the past or they want to come on board, as long as they've got a good price and they meet the criteria, go and do business with them.
Well, there you have it. That is Chishimba Kamwili, the Patriotic Front presidential hopeful. He is among the contestants of the presidency to take over from former President Edgar Lungu in the Patriotic Front. And the race will be there in March, and we're going to see who's going to emerge victorious. Others have predicted that the election will spell doom for the PF. Others have predicted that the election will mark the commencement or the rebranding process of the PF. But which is which, we are yet to see as events unfold for the year 2023. This is among the major events in terms of the year 2023 that we are looking out for. As you already know, Miriam Kaimba, the PF is still Zambia's major opposition political party. By members of parliament in terms of representation in the House, as well as in terms of structures at grassroots level. And that's a second, and it is second to the United Party for National Development, UPND. So according to the elections, the previous elections we had, they are still a major political party.
Currently that we have
in terms of the opposition.
Yeah, but anyway, Soko, you find that a lot of people have come on ground and say, okay, in as much as PF is trying to rebrand themselves, they are a gone party. We don't want them back in power. But anyway, these are just some of the things, because each and everyone is basically have an opinion to what to their say. But anyway, we have seen quite all right that the PF, they're coming on board quite well, trying to rebrand themselves after losing the 12th August general elections 2021 from the United Party for National Development. I love the fact that they're coming back on ground to try and rebrand and just realize on where they went wrong, and try to put the party together and the structures. But anyway, like you said, it will be quite a very, very stiff competition, because we have seen people like Brian Munduwile, we have seen Emmanuel Mwamba, coming on board. All these people want, to take over the party leadership. But anyway, all in all, it will be one person at the end of it all.
And your take on the issue of the fertilizer, which Mr. Campbell was commenting about?
Basically, when you look at fertilizer, Mr. Soko, we also have currently we have an issue before the court where, 4 different fertilizer companies, supply companies have sued the Ministry of Agriculture because they terminated their contract. But anyway, I won't doubt much into that thing because I might be cited for contempt. But if you notice from previous administration, you'll notice that his concerns are quite genuine, because not only the UPND where they say no, because these people are affiliated with the former ruling party, that's the more reason why we should cut their contracts from supplying the fertilizer. But we have seen that happening even in the former administration. We have seen that even happening in the UPND. So this is more of a trend. But at the end of it all, this is not what we want for our country, because it's business.
Yes, it mentioned an aspect of business to say these companies are in for business, and we should be able to separate
business and politics
from politics.
Yeah.
Now, also talking about separating business from politics, there's that also aspect that is coming out prominently of people who served or who worked alongside the previous administration sabotaging government. You've heard those statements.
I've heard quite right.
They are the ones frustrating government.
Even in the civil service, we have heard those sentiments coming through.
Those continue to come. But wouldn't it be a justifiable reason for the UPND? But again, for me, I would still argue to say, I think when a contract is spelled out, if someone is failing to meet the terms of the contract, yes, you have the right to terminate
the
but
contract,
if they are able to work and deliver accordingly, give them an opportunity. If they are able to make sure that the process is thoroughly conducted, we can work with that. So I think, in a nutshell, probably we are going to look beyond those issues as a country, business and politics. Also, I think the tendency by business communities to align themselves to politicians tend to dent their image, because others would always think they only pay allegiance to those.
But you know what, Soko, if you are going to be affiliated to a certain political party and then you are given a contract and then you meet the condition, I don't see that is wrong in any how.
Yeah,
as long as you meet the required condition, why should someone terminate your contract and you are able to supply?
Yeah, but I get your perspective. But you and I are reasoning as journalists. But politicians would say, and that
is the language that we have heard so far.
You understand?
Yeah.
Allow us to work with our people. So those tend to be prominent issues in politics, Ms. Kaimba there. So if we look critically, I wish it has really affected us, because making those changes has tended to also affect the supply chain. We are also looking at the same issue pertaining to drugs. And there's a story where the Democratic Party is equally... Oh, sorry, I'm still used with the previous title. We no longer attribute Mr. Kalaba to that.
Citizens First Party.
So the Citizens First Party President, Hari Kalaba, has advised the government to critically prioritize 3 key areas of development in the year 2023, among them the agriculture, health and energy sectors. And in an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Kalaba says the drama by the government of lying to the citizens that there are medicines in the health facilities when in fact not should come to an end. So let's get to zoom in that story from the Democratic Party President, Mr. Hari Kalaba, who was commenting on the issue of shortages of drugs. You too, our dear viewers, you have the right to give us your comment and views on the stories that we are zooming in this morning. Just give us that call or leave us a message on Facebook on Camnet TV Zambia, and let's get interacting. Remember, this breakfast show is brought to you by Camnet TV, courtesy to you, our dear viewers, because we value your support and contribution to this station. So let's get to zoom in that story from the Citizens First Party President, Mr. Hari Kalaba.
The first year of the United Party for National Development UPND administration into office has seen the party score in sectors such as the education through the introduction of free education, which has seen many children go back to school. The year has also seen the party fail in many areas, such as the late delivery of inputs, shortage of medicines in health facilities, high cost of living, among other things. Citizens First Party President Harry Kalaba has since advised governments to critically prioritize 3 key areas of development in 2023, among them the agriculture, health and energy sector.
Now that we've entered 2023, we as Citizens First expect government to look at 3 priority areas of governance. We expect government to take a lot of interest in the energy sector. We expect government to take a lot of interest in the health sector. We expect government to take a lot of interest in the agriculture sector. The agriculture sector has been very disastrous during the last farming season. We expect that seed and fertilizer now will reach farmers as early as August, so that they can plan and carry out their farming activities in time.
The opposition leader has also advised government to ensure that drugs are distributed in health facilities, as opposed to telling citizens that medicines are available when in fact not.
Also expect government to ensure that drugs, medicines are distributed in hospitals. This drama of government telling us that there's medicine when there's no medicine in hospitals should come to an end. Government must take time, practical solutions, let them visit the hospitals and clinics and let them see for themselves that citizens are literally struggling in the health sector. We also hope that government is going to deal with the energy sector very precisely. Zambia cannot, after 58 days of independence, continue importing petrol and diesel hand to mouth every other month. I think that should come to an end. What we need now, or what we need to expect now, is that government should procure the hydrocarbon cracker.
Many Zambian citizens are yet to start reaping fruits from the policies that the UPND administration are still implementing, considering that the high cost of living has continued to affect many families. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Quite interesting views there. We have seen that the Citizen First leader, Harry Kalaba, has a lot of expectation from the government when it comes to the year 2023. And I love the fact that he emphasized the point of addressing the issue of shortages of drugs in clinics, in hospitals. Mr. Soko, this has been an issue for quite some time, since last year in November somewhere there, where we had a lot of different opposition political parties, Soko coming on board and calling on government to address this issue and giving it the much needed attention. Yesterday we did see calls from our viewers out there who emphasized that the vice president should go around and do a thorough check in these hospitals, if indeed there's a shortages, there are shortages of medicines, and if not, then the Minister of Health, Silva Maseva, has an explanation to give.
Interesting views,
Yeah.
Ms. Kaimba. Let's also, this issue of drugs has been topical. I think ever since the UPND took over office, we have had the issues of drug shortages. The disruptions in the health sector tend to affect the nation in that most citizens who are not even able to access, buy medicine on their own, if they find there's no medication in hospitals, it tends to be a very huge challenge.
Yeah.
So drugs cannot be overemphasized, because at the end of the day, a healthy nation is a wealthy population, nation. And that said, we need to ensure that we prioritize health, to ensure that we take care of all facets of our health sector as a country. Now, if we see issues of drug supply or shortages, it tends to bring a lot of white American citizens who go to access to these public service, public hospitals to access services, and only to be given a prescription. And the medication is not cheap, especially this time around. Generally, they quite at the month of hunger.
Exactly. Yes, just coming from December, the festive month, where a lot of people spent monies on holidays, Christmas holidays, in the New Year, and then now. Anyway, unfortunately, you get sick and then you go to the hospital. Yeah. You're only given a prescription by the doctor.
And on top of that, you are taking grade ones to school. You need to buy their uniforms, their books.
Yes, we understand there's free education, but you need to buy their books.
You need to buy their books and everything. there's just a lot of things that happen in January.
Exactly.
January is a month on its own.
It's a month on its own. If you survive January, then you survive the entire year. Trust me, that's how it is. But anyway, if you are watching us, please leave us a comment on Facebook and drop us. Make sure you call us direct and take part in our discussion this morning, where we want to hear your views, your 2023 expectation from the United Party for National Development Administration. What is it that you want to see the UPND administration doing forth as we come to this new year? You know, a lot of people, when the UPND party just took over government in 2021, people's expectations were very high. They expected things to change over in a year, over in a night. So there were a lot of, last year we saw a lot of criticism, and now Ms. Soko coming to, when looking at the scenario that we're in, the big elephant in the room, which is load shedding. We have seen, you know, a lot of people have now criticized the government, and you know, quite interesting. People are now going back to Facebook because we realized that in 2020, the now president, President Hakainde Hichilema, made a comment on Facebook where he said load shedding is unacceptable when the PF were still in power. Now people are going back to that Facebook message and, you know, commenting that yes, indeed, it's unacceptable. But we have had a lot of reason why we have this load shedding at the moment, of which we hope that government can find other measures and alternative on how they can address this issue.
The only danger with social media is that you always have to mind what you post.
Yeah.
Because what you post may be used against you. No wonder it gives you a warning, Ms. Kaimba, to say, be responsible over each picture you post.
Yeah.
Because your children, your grandchildren will come and say, how was our grandmother behaving as a teenager?
Imagine.
Was she a nude artist? You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but if they are going to come years later, they say, ish, our grandmother was inspirational, writing good about journalism, talking about giving us strength about journalism. Your children and your children's children will be very happy to say, we are proud of our grandmother.
Exactly.
So they won't be proud of a grandmother who expresses a stupidity on social media. That's on our part as citizens. We always have to make sure that we use it wisely. And talking about these very aspects, Miriam. Now let's come to the president aspect. So, because he made a lot of comments bordering on the criticism of the then opposition, of the then governing Patriotic Front, on how they mishandled the country in various sectors.
Yeah.
Now, the same comments are still existing. So people are going back on those comments and now
reminding you
to say, but you said
you criticized on this.
You said load shedding was unacceptable.
Yes.
But why is it that let's say 3rd January 2022, citizens were in the dark?
2 years down the line after you taking over government.
You understand? And this is also at a time when we had the commissioning of one of the plants at Kafue Gorge Lower, where we say load shedding will be a thing of the past. And again, people are wondering to say, now we are back in darkness. So those are issues that are there. People always go back and check and counter-check and tick to say, this you said it, you have achieved it. So, but however, the comfort that we have is that the president did indicate that they have a 5-year mandate in which to administer various issues or to facilitate development. So within the 5 years period, then we will be able to assess if at all they have achieved whatever they had promised while in opposition or prior to the August.
But you know, we shouldn't forget the fact that some of the things that they promised during the time they were campaigning, like you know, employment of teachers, health workers, you know, free education, they've been able, you know, to demonstrate that and achieve that within this period, that within the 2 years that they have governed so far. So that is a recommendation as well that we need to acknowledge that quite all right. they have, you know, fulfilled this.
You know,
This year we're expecting another recruitment. I mean, teachers recruitment.
You know what Zambians do. They don't mind
the focus on the bad part.
The focus is what has not been attained. I hope you are getting the perspective.
No, I get your point. I get your point.
And besides, this same tendency also as Zambians has to come to an end where we think leaders do us a favor. They do not do us a favor.
No.
We have employed them. They are our servants.
Yeah, it's their mandate.
So, and our current president has been preaching servant leadership.
Yes.
So they are servants of the people. So they have to just make sure that they honor their masters by doing what is expected of them. And when they are facilitating development, it's not a favor. It's our resources collectively as a nation.
Exactly. But anyway, let's move direct into playing one of the stories that we had in our news yesterday, where we saw some charcoal traders at Fred Joe area in Garden House compound in Mandevu constituency, where they were saying that you know, with this load shedding, anyway, it might be bad to some people, but for them, they have seen an improvement, a drastic improvement following the load shedding in terms of their sales. You know, business has boomed now. At least they are selling. You know, it's a good thing for them. So they say, as we go, maybe 10 days after, 15 days after, they'll be able to, you know, to see massive improvement in terms of their sales. So for them, it's a good thing.
But before we go to that story, let's just zoom in this call.
Hello, good morning. Good morning. You're through to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Hello.
We can clearly get you, sir. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you, madam?
We are okay. Please, who are we talking to this morning?
My name is Roy. I'm calling you from Lusaka.
It's good to know that you're watching us this morning. Please go ahead with your contribution this morning.
Yes, please. I would like to contribute on your comments.
Please go ahead.
With regard to the UPND performance, with regard to UPND performance,
yes,
the UPND have extremely performed very well in the last 1 year plus. People are reprimanding them that they have not fulfilled their promises, but these people, they have only been in government for a short period of time where they have demonstrated that they are really up to their promises. So those people who are criticizing them, they should even mention the greater things which they have achieved in this shortest period of time, like the free education, the stabilization of the economy, the CDF in all the constituencies, just in the shortest period of time. So the UPND has got 5 years mandate in which to fulfill their campaign promises. Those who are criticizing them, like the likes of Dr. Chimbaka Yajara, they are behaving as if UPND has already crossed the 5 years mandate. Why can't we wait and see, maybe in the third year and fourth year, to see what they are going to do, what they are not going to do, and what they are going to do? Then we start criticizing them again. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. That is Roy giving us his perspective regarding how the UPND has performed this far. They have also done quite a number of issues that they deserve commendation. Yeah, they deserve. He cited the aspect of free education and the recruitment of
stabilization of the economy
and health. So that is his perspective.
You know, he also mentioned one thing there, one aspect where he spoke about stabilization in the economy. Mr. Soko, you realize that in as much as we have this, but there's no money in circulation. This has
Let's
been
zoom in the story. We needed to zoom in. We'll be back on the other side as we zoom in our guests.
Exactly. Is our clip ready from Fred Joe area in Garden Compound, where traders were speaking of... anyway, we have a caller. Let's get this call before we go direct. Seems like people want to say, hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, madam.
Good morning, sir. You're through to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show. Who are we talking to this morning?
Okay, thank you so very much, madam. This is Apostle Jefferson. They're calling you from Luansha.
It's good to know, Apostle, that you're watching us this morning. How is Luansha?
Luansha is fine. We are blessed that especially God is so merciful that we've approached the 2023.
We thank God. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Thank you so very much, madam. Good morning, my brother.
Good morning, Apostle. Thank you for the call.
God bless you, people. Thank you so very much for this wonderful program. Coming to what is on the table, I think looking at where we come from the previous regime and to where we are, I think it's good to give a hand to this government under the PND. I think so. There are a good number of areas where the party in a short period, when we talk of employing 30,000 teachers, 11,000 nurses, just that is not an easy thing to do, which I think that should be given a hand to this government. I think it has never happened. I think even in the unity regime, this has happened for the first time. And, we have one coffer as a nation comes to Zambia. Meaning that if those resources have been directed to that sector, it means that we need also to consider that the same resources are the same resources that need to do other projects. We need, as a country, as a nation, there might be some promises here and there and all that. But let's try to face now reality that these people now they are in government, where now they are seeing not what they were seeing when they were outside. They are seeing in the game. So they are seeing now what is exactly happening there. We understand that the previous government, sorry to say this, we have seen a lot of misappropriation of resources of this country. The resources ended up being abused by just a few aides.
Thank you very much.
Of corruption. Yes, we are not clear about what is happening today in terms of corruption, in as much as they are trying to fight corruption. We don't know exactly is corruption really being handled in the same way this government are saying we are fighting corruption. Because we've never seen any serious move that has happened, or maybe that has actually given a feedback to say maybe in this kind of this department or this kind of ABCD has been caught doing this. Though we've been hearing rumor we've been hearing that they are certainly, they say in Denver that, muchinzo kuingika mungula bosi yo. So UPND, they are 100%. But let's look at what these people.
Apostle, you need to wind up with the comments so that we can accommodate others.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your contribution there. But right about now,
let's take a break.
Go direct into playing that story, and we will shortly be joined by our guest this morning.
According to the Zambia Forestry and Forest Industries Corporation, ZAFICO, the country loses over 200,000 hectares of forest per year due to deforestation, mainly owing to charcoal burning. This has been seen as one of the major contributors to climate change, which has resulted in a change of seasons, hence negatively affecting farming in Zambia. With the announcement by Zambia's power utility company ZESCO that load shedding has officially begun Tuesday, 3rd January 2023, Camnet News took time to talk to some charcoal traders in Lusaka's garden compound to see how business is going. Some traders say their business has slowly begun picking up.
Achitako improve at least kuchira paja pamene sienzi oeda malachi bachirero nkasako yaindako malachi.
So like maybe magwisa yangati per day, then lo magwisa kwa yangati?
Limbi day timagwisa limbi 2 kamozi bachirero tagulisako yali 5.
Others, however, say sales have been slow for them, attributing it to people lacking money due to harsh economic conditions.
Koma tikaona abantu bamba kubwedza ona kuti apo business ya posting ako kai bantu still baona. So palibe vametinga kale. Mwamene mwayimirira pana moto kama onapo muntu ofunsa ko malashi. Mwayimirira ndawo ikulu maningi mami. Palibe bantu. It dependi bantu ngati balina ndalama mu makombo, ndali bantu ndi bantigula mu makombo. So ngati bantu balibe ndalama. Nishitizambo kungoja masocha. Kara 2 months supermarket, 1 month supermarket business yenda. So boma baby apart danda bakundalama kulibe.
Camnet News also caught up with some customers who say they had no plan of buying charcoal but have been forced to do so due to the load shedding. The current situation presents a serious challenge not only for the government to provide alternative sources of energy, but also for alternative sources of business for the traders if climate change is to be effectively combated. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Welcome back. Well, that's an interesting story there on load shedding. We've been on this story for a while now, and load shedding officially kicked off as of yesterday. And you can share with us your experience where you were in the dark as of yesterday. And just now, we've been joined by our guest on today's program, and he is the president for the leadership movement. He is Dr. Richard Silumbe. Welcome to the program, sir.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me here at Camnet. I appreciate, and Happy New Year.
Thank you so much. Happy New Year to you too.
Thank you.
Yeah, interesting. To get started with our conversation, first of all, we are looking at the expectations on this government, especially for the year 2023. But we cannot talk about that without even us looking at the previous year, which is the year 2022. What would be your overall assessment as the leadership movement in terms of economic recovery and the fight against corruption, addressing pitfalls in drug shortages, especially in the year 2022? How would you overall rate the UPND?
And not forgetting, just to add on, the issue of fertilizer.
Well, I'll start with the issue of fertilizer first. When we are talking about economic recovery, we cannot talk about figures, statistics that have got no basis, as we saw the president of this country trying to convince the Zambian people that everything is fine, the country is going in the right direction. But when we just look at sector by sector, how they have fared as a government, starting from the fertilizer support, FISIP, look at how disastrous it has been. Up to today, we have people who have not received fertilizer. Many of them got just a chunk of it. We expected a government that had planned. It was UPND in the opposition for 23 years. Imagine, without any plan. Just talking, rumor mongering, just opposing. They are a typical opposition political party. They were opposing without plans. They came into power. They were stuck. Instead of prioritizing production, we expected the new Dawn government as of August 2021 to start thinking about recapitalizing NCZ so that we can produce enough fertilizer. What did they do? They went on to give cadres contracts so that they can look for fertilizer wherever they can find it. And look at the cost of fertilizer today. 2 years ago, we were buying fertilizers at 200 kwacha. Today, we are getting at more than 1,000 kwacha. That is not development. That is not fixing the economy. We come to corruption. They were in opposition for years, screaming about corrupt people, talking about how corrupt the previous government has been, throwing all kinds of evidence. We are now almost 2 years down the line. How many people are incarcerated? No one. How many people are in prison? Nobody. With massive evidence, we see bags of money, corrupt money, and they go there, they meet them, they strike a deal, and all the cases have disappeared in the papers. This is a kind of government that we are in that has got no heart for fight against corruption, because they are the same as the previous government, and we are worried as leadership movement because we are going to see the new Dawn government to be more corrupt than the PF, because the trend they have set is that they don't care about corruption. We are different as leadership movement because we have been clear in our manifesto. Corruption is non-bearable. It's 37 years imprisonment once you are caught to be corrupt. So that is how a party that wants to fight corruption should do. They need to enshrine it in the manifesto. The new Dawn government, they were in opposition, screaming corruption. They don't even believe in the fight against corruption because they were busy accepting the PF criminals into them. Imagine how to make of a political party that seem to have values, and yet it gets an opposition, a person from the ruling party, like in the case of GBM, he goes there and becomes vice president. Those are indicators that they are just the same. This is why 16 months down the line, we have not seen anybody arrested or incarcerated for corruption.
But Dr. Silumbe, looking at the number of the arrests that have been made so far, and the introduction of the fast-track court, which the government has said this will help recover the money that was stolen anyway in the quickest possible time, and currently the number of cases that are still pending before court, don't you think that is an indication that they are fighting corruption?
That is joking. Those are jokers. The new Dawn government are jokers when it comes to the fight against corruption. Have you ever seen a country that is developing? Let's look at countries like China, tiger nations like Singapore. These countries who have put laws that fight corruption, how are they doing today? Corruption there is life imprisonment. When you are caught pocketing government resources, you are gone, and you are gone for good. Look at the new Dawn government. They are joking. They are pretending to the Zambian people that they are fighting corruption. You're talking about arrests. 1 year, 6 months, nobody's in jail, and you say, no, they are fighting corruption. They are very serious. How many cases they are still pending? You even say that they are pending. It means that they are joking. They are not intending to arrest these people or even to jail these people. Nobody's in jail. If you steal a wheelbarrow, if you steal a bag of maize, what will happen to you? It will not even take 1 year. It will not even take 3 months before you are jailed for 5 years. And you have these criminals who have pocketed billions of kwachas, and they are there, and we are saying, we are discussing, no, they are still fighting corruption. These are jokers. We are joking when we look at the fight against corruption.
But don't you
think we need a formidable fight against corruption?
Isn't that the process of the judiciary that is delaying the process? Wouldn't you attribute that to the judiciary?
It's not the judiciary. The judiciary is part of the government. The judiciary, actually, who is the Chief Justice today? Is he not appointed by the UPND government? So how then do you say it's the judiciary, it's not the government? It's the government, it's the new Dawn government that has done all these things, that has orchestrated all these things. Wait for the leadership movement be sown in power, and you are going to see how we are going to speed up corruption. You are going to see how many people will be in jail for pocketing government resources. And you are going to see how civil servants are going to be scared of pocketing government money, because they will know that once you get money from the government coffers and you put in your pocket, you are gone and your life is destroyed. You are in for 37 years imprisonment.
Then just on the aspect of the economy, Dr. Selumbe, I want to give you from the perspective of the analysis that was given from the Zambia Institute for Policy Analysis, ZIPA, where they were indicating that the economy has been performing better on account of growth, citing 2 to 3%, and compared to the past when it was growing in the negative. And that these are owing to good government policies. But what would you have to justify when you say they are not doing fine?
Let's face it, what is the economy? When 2 years ago you could use 100 kwacha and buy a bag of meal, and today you have to get 200 kwachas for you to buy a bag of meal. That is the economy. That is how the Zambian people understand the economy, not all those figures you are talking about. You have brought in foreigners who are rampaging the...
Anyway, just hold your thoughts, Doc, there.
Let him wind up.
Let me just finish it. We have given up the minerals. We have given up natural resources to foreigners. And those figures are coming from foreigners who are ripping this country off, making billions, and you say the economy is doing fine. And yet, a simple, or rather a common Zambian like me and you, we feel the pinch of how the economy is not doing fine, because we cannot buy a bag of meal using 100 kwacha.
Someone wants to interact with us. Let's get this call. Good morning, welcome to the Breakfast Show. Good morning.
Hello, sir. May I be allowed to contribute on the breakfast session?
You can go ahead. Your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello, could you kindly tell us your name and where you are calling us from?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, I want to air out my views. I want to contribute especially where on the topic where the leadership movement is saying that the European government is working. Where as far as the fighting on the corruption is concerned, what I'm concerned also is the question that I want to ask is: are there laws that up to the death? Are there laws in the Constitution that provide to prosecute people at the moment? If there are laws, there are no laws. The leadership movement, I don't think that is right to say that the UK government is joking. Because I don't think there are laws that are supporting arresting people for 30 years.
Okay, I think we get this message there.
I think he was trying to mention the fact that you said when you form government, corruption will be non-bailable and it will be 30 years, 37 years.
He is asking us to say, are there laws?
Yes, basically attaching that to that.
Speak that. You can respond to him as well.
Yes, first of all, we are hearing, you have just said that the New Dawn government is trying to put up a fast track court to deal with those issues. We just saw the New Dawn government knocking out the death penalty. We just saw the New Dawn government actually, they are diluting what should keep society safe. We have seen how they have knocked out the defamation of the president law. All these things are there in the direction of diluting society so that anybody can insult the head of state, so that anybody can kill and still go in jail and say, I'm just going to jail to go and eat beans. I'm tired of this. I'll just kill you and go and rest in peace in the jail cell. These are the things that the New Dawn government are doing. And we as leadership movement, we are saying we are going to do things differently. we are going to bring back that law that protects the people from being killed. A murderer should know that once they kill a person, they forfeit their right to live. And they'll be in jail, they're awaiting a death sentence. Even if we don't hang them, but it will be there. So we want a person who pockets government resources, they are in jail for 37 years. The same way we did with defilement. Remember, when young children were defiled anywhere they go, we had defilement cases in chains in courts until a responsible government came in and moved on, and they put defilement, non-bailable, 5 years imprisonment. And what is happening today? We have seen that defilement has ceased. And this is the direction of the leadership movement. We want to safeguard society. We don't want to see what is going on with this weak New Dawn government that allows criminals to steal and then they can go scot-free. Cases are disappearing in the papers, and they are lying that they are fighting corruption because they know that they are scared, because they themselves, they don't believe in the fight against corruption. Should we see many of these criminals? By the way, the PF government was a criminal government. We have seen so much corruption. We cannot be here talking about whether they stole or they did not steal. That is out of question. But we have a weak government in power that does not believe in the fight
there's need for evidence corruption. Don't you think there's need for evidence and due process, the law due process to be followed in order to prosecute someone? Because without enough evidence, you cannot call someone, corrupt and he stole something if you don't have evidence to justify that.
Let me tell you this. Didn't you see that people were found with bags of money? Where did that money come from? Didn't they interrogate that these people don't have a business? Is that not evidence enough? Didn't they see that contracts were manipulated to buy a fire truck at $1 million US? Didn't they see all those? That is evidence. But have we seen these people in jail? Have they been jailed? That is the process we are talking about. We need a due process to take place. This is why when you catch a person who has stolen a wheelbarrow, there is evidence and they are given 5 years imprisonment. But
anyway,
when it comes to corruption,
let's get that call, Dr. Selumbe. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
You are through to we are fine, thank you. You are through to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show. Who are we talking to this morning? Please, could you kindly speak up, sir?
Yes, I'm just from
It's good to know that Livingstone is watching us this morning. Please go ahead with your contribution.
My president seems to be a dictator in the nation. Because you know there are laws that you may be able to condemn that are not this man. But you see, there are laws. The way you are approaching issues yourself, you may be doing it. That's my advice. You're a good man, but you are approaching issues of the law. I think you are able to make your own laws, okay, to propagate that. But currently you have laws running the government. So, in case you come out, follow the law. If you have to make anything, the changes must plan in a proper way. You cannot just wake up in the morning. I want to change this. I want to change this. People must be facilitated for the same again. Just not right. Please, I want to advise you.
Let me just comment. Let me just. Okay. What about, let me just say a quick comment on this one. What about those people who convert a law which was 3 years from defilement to 35 years? Who are those people who are doing that? Were they not people like us? Were not those people, were they not people like you, yourself? What about the New Dawn government, which is moving the law from death penalty to something else? Defamation of the president to something else. What process are they following? Are we not able to follow the same process? So we don't have to think that when people are in power, they are different type of people. We need to fix this nation by way of protecting Zambians, putting Zambians first. And in that sense, we don't need to side with criminals.
Right, that Dr. Silumbe would be that, are you going to be a dictator where you would also just impose
things without following the law?
Without following procedure? Are you going to just say, today we are changing this thing?
Yes, without following our constitution.
That's his concern.
The issue is we have the procedure for changing the laws. I'm not saying that by virtue of me saying this, we are going to do it. Of course, when we say as government, we have a leadership movement government, we think that a person who pockets government resources will be in for the 7 years imprisonment. We are going to follow the due process. We are going to take the law in parliament and do what is required and ensure that it becomes a law. So we are going to follow the process. But we are saying this is our direction. We are giving the Zambian people what we feel should be done. The same way the New Dawn government is knocking out laws. So the New Dawn government is not coming from somewhere, from space, for them to change laws. That the leadership movement cannot change. That should be understood by the Zambian people. So when we say these things, we are going to follow the due process. But we are going to strengthen the laws so that we can protect Zambians and ensure that this country can go in the right direction.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
You are through to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show. Who are we talking to this morning?
You are talking to that importing from Northwest, in particular.
It's good to know that Northwestern is watching us this morning. Please go ahead with your contribution, sir.
Yeah, my contribution is first comment on what Dr. Silumbe is articulating, is that making it is well. But the problem that we have with this opposition party is that we just want to condemn the direct government instead of doing the checks and balance. You know, he's talking of when we go to government, I don't know when, 2020 so possible. But we still have a long way to go. One country, they bring new ideas to help the government in place. So that we run this through our country smoothly. And together, we are right at the thing that the Zambian people want. So my Kurata, I'm saying, let him bring new ideas. Help the government, help the Zambian people. Then together we shall say, wow, this is the leader that we want. Even when we go for elections, people go for it, you will be bringing ideas. I'm not just talking about forming government. I think that's where I can go. Thank you, Camnet.
Thank you so much for your contribution, sir. And Dr. Silumbe, do you have any alternatives to this government? You've said the economy is ailing. You've talked about the, okay, we won't touch on the corruption because we've spent more time on it. Let's look at the economy. We have the problem of drug shortages. We have, you are saying that there is sluggish growth. There is no money in circulation of the economy. What are the alternatives? What would you suggest this government do to ensure that they put this economy in the path to economic recovery?
We as leadership movement have been clear on our policy and on the ideas that can bring this country to the path of development, the path of growth. Number one, we should be talking about production. Production should be the theme song in this country.
How production?
Production is about producing things, not importing things. Look at, for instance, I can give you simple examples. We used to produce fertilizer through NCZ. NCZ used to produce fertilizer the whole country and distribute it. And that production program has been halted. We would rather give contracts to cadres so that they can buy fertilizer in Saudi Arabia and so on and so forth. That money we are giving contracts to these cadres should be put in NCZ so that we can produce fertilizer. So and when we produce fertilizer,
we
are on production. We have to.
That's what you thought. We get this caller. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
We are fine, thank you, sir. How are you?
I'm good, Mr. Phillips. How are you?
Fine, and you?
Please tell us your name and where you're calling us, sir.
I'm calling you from Kapanana.
You can go ahead, sir.
What I'm saying is that to support the community,
We lost that one. The line was pretty bad.
Was pretty bad, though I couldn't get much of the things that he was trying to say. I don't know if you heard some of the things that he tried to brought out there.
First of all, I think I've gotten a few things from his comment. He's saying, laws like death penalty. Nomba ichile mpapsha chakwati febe na Zambia ngaturesta tule umfa wino atoto afunyako death penalty niba nani tulesa protect mche tulesa protect abantu abaleipa abantu anabo na tulesa protect abena Zambia tulefwa ikupsa prioritize abena Zambia so ama laws ngatulepanga tatufile tulesa please wa muisa ababa new Don government baba tumina phone kuli ba muisa tawe nga mwafunyako death penalty nishi otwinga mipere mpia shasona so kutuma institution kutuma NGOs bantu ku America bachiri baleipa yabantu kwa death penalty a few days ago people are being hanged in America Guantanamo Bay tabaisara ababantu tabayingira na ICC tababa tema members ba America but don't you know to my institution to know to atumina ba new Don government o chiteni na bena bale chitafira fine kwa tuma puppets if you pabonga ba leadership movement of turefire ko ba twatsa protect abena Zambia kwa tumuntu nango alefo kuipa yo munankwe ala tondi wanko bat aho kwali ba death penalty na ine bakayanjipa bakayankobeka kumukobeko iyo longoko ili nisha abantu baletina ofo tusunga bekala chalo if yona fimbi fyakola tawe twambe okula imbeni mbo tuletotera ba new Don government bantu bafunyako defamation of the president if yote finto fo twinga totera pamonga ba leadership movement yo bantu tatuchitana defame president tatutukana bakateka tufire tule ba protect tufire tule ba respect utungulushi tanshinga tuwamfa bakateka wenda tawe na alafu yako defamation of the president paka tumule ntukana nishibale twala kuisa society nishibale fwa aba nakukula wakare tukana wa president tafire panga sense utotuma opposition tumbinga turefu afyokula tukana kubaleka lero tatufire twala chinja laws icha wapo problem chakwa tibaka pokola ngabale amuntu ikata omuntu no utatukene balamu ikata bamutwala koti tatwa munapo muntu obaka kana ngudi ba opposition abene tabatukana no kutukana lero wakapokola tabaisi okusta implement defamation of the president law that's why tapapo bakaka so if into tufire focus turefwa ko bakapokola bale ishibo kuba tite defamation belai katana ba opposition pantu ile palonga ndela ndefi then bakapokola basa mkunji katatao na utukana bakateka then to akukoti basa ngati nshatukene tapali evidence if you a problem so your defamation of the president law is okay it should be there pantu esa protect bakateka teba HH bakabamo kanshi mo ba press singa ngamwe kwati charo na chipwanomba ba HH feva abapo takwa kamena umbi nishimulei bepafye bakafumapo kukesa na bambi that's why ba leadership movement try protect ba president bonse bakesa kuna bana kukula bakesa tetule chinjalo pantu tulefa afi pantu chat one na yo that's why na pali corruption tulefa umuntu wa chita pocket impia sha government aba punished severe pakuwa abantu baletina ushemo alitemo fine fa patu umuntu ni civil servant afuna fe 6000 kwacha le lwali alibe pia mu government ale hula pofe kwati nipa chipawo chakwe ero do nomba ifo tulanda tawe twaba tatufire tule kakaba
let's get this go. Hello, good morning. We are fine, sir, thank you. How are you? Please go ahead with your contribution, sir.
Yes, I just want to contribute something, especially on what is talking about. First and foremost, when you come to the civilization, it's important that you get the fact. If you see in America, there is this thing, and America is a central government. Like you just go to the state, not only states where they, not only America where they do this thing, some of the states here, they do, like for example, California State, they do this thing here. If you go to Texas, they do this thing here. I want you to go to Washington, D.C., because that's where I want to go myself. So those things in America, they do this thing. So when we are committing on this thing, the issues, just the issues, get the facts right. Okay? And the other thing that I wanted to talk about too is
Washington, D.C., America.
We are just complaining. Okay? We are asking that, give me solutions like the other places that are mentioned. It's important that you give solutions to this damage that is in place. The problem is, you are asking, what are the good things that the UK are standing back today? You are telling people, we are giving you to do, for example, people. You know how much it takes for the government.
They're in a press singer.
That's actually you have to do that. You can even just say they are looking at they know you are protecting the Uganda. Are you aware that the vibration of removing the death penalty, you are protecting human rights? This time around, you go for it to the safety. Every person will commit murder, but they don't really care. You are aware that, for example, in this country, people that were committed to death penalty, and they were making life imprisonment. Others were even acquitted. I don't know if this was from some of them were even here in Coca-Cola. They are in jail, but they were just like this. And they are really 20,000 of people that are working for different companies from what to them for. So when they got to move this to tell them that they are protecting. But when they go, someone is going to want to get it, they will want to get it, they are going to give you something. That is wrong. So,
thank you so much for your contribution. Maybe Dr. Sulumba, you can respond to that.
I have a problem with such kind of mindset because that mindset doesn't develop countries. That is a mindset of a person who would want to be a criminal and be protected. What are human rights? Where do human rights start and where do they end? When you offend a person, you forfeit your human rights. That's why people are in prison. But we have people like him. It's very sad that we have such kind of beings in a country that think they are so passionate about criminals than the people who are supposed to be civilians. Because those killers, whatever you may talk about their human rights, if they have killed a person and they are committed to death sentence, it doesn't mean that death sentence is automatic, but the virtue of having that law makes those people scared of killing. If they are in thousands today, there will be millions very soon, thanks to the New Dawn government that has removed the death penalty. That is not the kind of society we want to see as leadership movement. Unfortunately, maybe to say this, we as leadership movement want to protect the Zambian people. We want to protect a person who may be killed. That's why we want that person who wants to kill a person to know that they'll be in for a death penalty. Even though by track record, just a minute, by track record, we have seen that no president has even signed a death penalty. We have not seen anybody killed there, but it has been there as a deterrent. So we want laws to be deterrents and not this blindly following human rights. A person who has killed a person doesn't have any claiming for human rights because they have forfeited their human rights by virtue of killing another person. That's how the law should.
But the argument is that the right that is fulfilled is the right that is taken away from someone is the right to liberty or to movement. That's why they are confined in correction facilities. But that other rights, like the right to health, they have to exist.
Exactly. That's why when they go to prison, anyway, we don't call it anymore prisons. We call it correctional facility because there the mandate, the main aim for them is to reform.
Do you know who brought that? It's the funders, the people who are supporting you, the people where your government is going around begging. These are the people who are making those claims. You cannot be there putting prisons first, going there to donate mattresses, and yet boarding houses don't have mattresses, where correction should be taking place, where training and progression of life should be taking place. You prioritize prisons, and you are putting mattresses there, and you are saying these people have human rights. Those people are not on the priority. They are in the second priority. We need to prioritize people who need to be educated. We need to prioritize people who have not offended, and those people, even though they have human rights, but their human rights, they differ. You cannot say a person who was killed, you only remove the right to movement. Are you joking? A person has killed, someone comes here, stabs you, and you say, oh, we are going to restrict his movement in prison because he has stabbed you. You are joking. We need those people to be punished severely, and they need to know that they have actually forfeited their living as well. That's how you protect society. So as leadership movement, we are clear.
That's why that on that death penalty, I think we go to other issues.
Should be there.
We go to other issues. And we have a caller. Let's just pick this call. You are through to the program. Good morning.
Hello.
Your name and where you are calling us from?
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. We can get you. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Hello.
Hello, we can clearly get you.
Okay, we have a problem with that call. You can call back later. I think your network is a bit poor. So now, I want us to also look at this other aspect. I know we've spent more time on the defamation of the president and the death penalty. Let's also look at this other important aspect. The UPND administration, we have hosted government leaders on this very platform where you are, Dr. Selumbe. When they come here, they tell us to say, we have delivered on our commitment to job creation, as evidenced in the recruitment of 30,000 teachers, 11,000 health personnel. They have also claimed that they have put up measures to ensure that there's development in communities through the Constituency Development Fund, which they say they have has been increased to 28.3 million kwacha as enshrined in the 2023 national budget.
As well as the issue of free education.
Free education. But what will be your immediate reaction to that? Isn't that progress, Dr.
This
Selumbe?
is why you have heard that callers, they're asking me, what alternative do we have? Instead of me talking about the New Dawn government and all that. This is why they're thinking I'm opposition. I'm not an opposition leader. I am an alternative or a government in waiting. Because we are talking about UPND and what they have done, let's talk about what we think should be done. This is why I talked about production. We need to be producing here in Zambia. I wanted to move also to the issue of medicines. Are we not ashamed as Zambians that we can even be saying, oh, the government has delivered, and yet in 1990 we were producing medicines here in Zambia. We were producing Panadols. We could produce drip water. Now people are dying in hospitals because we have to import drip water from China. These are the issues. Because they say, this is what we are doing here. Oh, the UPND has delivered. What have they delivered? CDF. Can you give me even one person, one example of a person who has grown his business thanks to CDF, because he was given CDF and now they are doing fine. There's nothing. You don't have anything on TVs about such kind of progression. That is where
we're in the implementation phase. That would be the argument.
Look at this. This is the situation. You have cadres make a cooperative. They are in hundreds. You give them 100 people, 10 people. You give them 1 million. They don't know about production. They don't know about running a business. They don't know about being entrepreneurs. They share that money and they disappear. That is not what we want as leadership movement. This is why we want a government that prioritizes production. Why do we say production? We want production of medicines here in Zambia. That is the kind of investment we want to see. Not crying foul about buying medicines from India or from anywhere. We should be thinking about how we can produce medicines here in Zambia. We should be thinking about how we can produce so many
what sort of investment is required, Dr. Sirumbe, to ensure that such levels of industrializations are attained?
Look at this. This is where we get it wrong. I can give you an example of a number of companies here in Zambia who are able to produce medicines, but they are not taken into consideration by the government. They would rather give foreigners money instead of focusing on nurturing the little pharmaceuticals that can produce medicines. I was living in Kapirimposhi. Next to my house was a pharmaceutical that could produce medicines. They used to make medicines there in the 90s until the governments that came up that don't put production first, and these companies started withering out. But there are some medicines that can be produced here in Zambia. If we can start buying medicines and giving these people contracts, they could grow bigger and better. And with the help of government and other government wings, we could be producing here in Zambia. Same applies to production of food. We are talking about government performing, and yet there is hunger, there is poverty in this country. This is why leadership movement has said, instead of prioritizing unproductive jobs, such as teachers, health workers, non-productive, consumptive jobs, we need to prioritize production.
You are saying consumptive, Dr. Sirumbe, but the argument would be there will be no education if there are no teachers, and thanks to education you are here, Dr. Sirumbe.
Let me take you to the fundamentals of production. You cannot talk about production, teaching or education when you don't have food. Maslow's level of hierarchy of needs states that at the base of hierarchy of needs, there is food. Anybody thinks about food first, then safety, then self-actualization, and all those things, education, come higher in the hierarchy of needs. We need to prioritize food production first. This is why you cannot have a poverty-stricken economy and you prioritize education. We need to put young people to work. This is why we talk about ZNS, young people, millions of young people put into production. Leadership movement has outlined this program very clearly, because we say we want young people to go into ZNS, whether educated or not educated. 1 year, 6 months training, during which we are productive. We produce maize, we produce so many cash crops such as cannabis, and sell to other countries in state farms in every district. And when we produce those products, we sell to other countries and we gain forex into this country. We talk about having ZNS run mines in everywhere where there are minerals. Just here at Kasisi, we have the Chinese, they are digging copper. Next to that mountain, we need to have a ZNS gold mine there, and they are digging gold and copper, and we can produce gold, and we can sell and gain forex into this country. But look at our New Dawn government. What are they prioritizing? Consumption, going out there, looking for loans, looking for IMF. It's all about begging, for God's sake. We need to see something. I remember I was the first one to commend the New Dawn government when they talked about 3 state farms they are opening to start growing cannabis for export. I knew that those are billions of dollars coming into this country, and leadership movement was there to say, thank you, the New Dawn government, that's the way to go. Instead of having 3, can you replicate them, make them in every district, and we could be the biggest praise singers if these people focused on production. But you're talking about all these non-intangible things that don't bring money into this country, and you're calling them development. Whilst a person in Mrs. is laughing at you because they are saying, what are they saying that the economy is doing fine, and they are languishing in poverty. There are no jobs. You call a few grade 12s to say we are giving them jobs, and yet millions of young people don't have jobs and they have nothing to do. And yet a normal leader should know that for this country to develop, to move, we need millions of young people into production, and millions of people to be doing something, because everybody has got something to contribute.
Under a minute, we have to conclude, Dr. Selumbe.
What we are saying, because we have wasted time arguing about things that are intangible, that are not even productive, we want as leadership movement, when we come into power, or we want the New Dawn government to adopt these 4 points. Number one, we want land to the Zambian people. We don't want to sell our birthright to foreigners, as we are seeing with the New Dawn government. Every Zambian should own land with title deeds. We want jobs to young people. Educated or not educated, we need to absorb these young people and tap into their energy, and we become productive as a country. Number three, we want tax breaks and tax holidays to Zambian businesses, contrary to giving tax holidays to foreigners and bloating indexes and statistics that the country is doing fine and it is not doing fine, because we believe in support your local team. We believe in support your local businesses. We believe in support your local products, because local is local. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This is where we come to the end of our program this morning. Please do make time to join us tomorrow, the same time at 7 hours, as we bring you nothing but the best. For me, Miriam Kaimba, and Patrick Soko, it's bye-bye and stay blessed.